Hello, and welcome back. Today we're going to be going over one of the games that we ended up playing on the alt. The alt is relative to the elo of the main account. It was in Celestial 2 at the time of this recording, so it's definitely not that low. Let's plug in my mouse, dying. Oh, my cat's destroying my cord. Okay, we're chilling. This is a game that is played on one of the domination maps. This is the one where rather than pushing a card, both teams converge trying to take an objective. A lot of you guys have actually been asking for me to cover something like this, and I kind of wanted to do so as well because I don't know about you guys, but it feels like there are not many of these in the game right now. It feels like there's a really big skew compared to like push the cart maps. There's a lot more of these types of or there's way less of these. Okay, so starting off, Star-Lord ends up pushing us. We back up, placing our demon down. Get a big hit here, and we notice we can pick him up. Nice, good kill. And then our Psylocke also is coming over. Oh, you guys are not able to see my cooldown. Okay, cool. There we go. There we go. Much better. So we get a big pick on the Star-Lord. We end up falling back and playing over here on the left side and poking a little bit. I really encourage people to make sure that whenever you have your big like air slash and you can hit something with it, especially when you're charging up your ultimate down here, it never hurts to just kind of throw it out there, charge it up as much as you can, or until somebody's not going to be on your screen anymore, and just throw it. As you can see, we charge it all the way up, and it goes up a good percentile. It's not, it's not nothing. And that adds up over time. Do you want to get your ult as quickly as possible so that way you can burn out, especially like in comps like this one where they're running 3 support. It's super important for us that we get enough utility so we can actually start to burn them and get rid of their utility. Okay, we see that the Star-Lord's in midair, very killable, but unfortunately we get kind of clipped on by Adam. This is kind of a situation where you don't necessarily ever want to be doing this. I want you to like take into consideration, this is a really big fumble. So we'll look at this from a third person point of view. Why is this bad? Okay, so we're going to do a thing. We do this on stream all the time. We call this where's the team and where are we, right? So if I'm the only person here, and we let this fast forward a little bit, sure, Magneto is here. In what scenario is Magneto ever going to be able to walk forward and pressure this a little bit? Captain America's up here, but he dashes away, and it's still a 2-on-4, is this? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 people right there. Star-Lord's in the spin. We're going to take damage no matter what. Bucky's a hard counter. Adam Warlock does a ton of damage. Mantis sleep. Cloak and Dagger has the debuff, right? When is this ever an acceptable time to go in? Answer is that it is not. What would we rather be doing in here? Like we said, we want to be poking, maybe playing an angle. They're not on point. We can aggress on the Groot, do some damage to him. This is just a really bad tunnel visioning thing. And I definitely should not have dashed here in any capacity. If we kill the Star-Lord, which we won't ever, because there's 2 healers looking at him, we still end up dying. We go 1 for 1, and I don't believe he has his res as of right now, but regardless, we now kind of put it in an even scenario, but our team is in a worse position to take, right? Because they're so far spread, and then our Captain America's low, and Magneto is down here, and Groot's already taking the point. So it's just not a very good play. We would get a lot more value out of just waiting, and then waiting to go in on the backline, rather than, going and just needlessly dying for nothing, which is exactly what happens, as you can see. We die, and there's kind of a bit of a tussle. We end up losing Captain America, and now we're down the exchange because we're down 2 people. Yep, and then Star-Lord is still there, and now it's a 5-on-4 until we get back. Or a 6-on-4. Okay. Coming out of spawn, let's look at our pathing. What could we have done better here? So, it's looking as though we're going to run into a theme where they're kind of deathballing over here on this right-hand side, but we can definitely take 1v1s with Star-Lord. I think Star-Lord gives Magik a bit of trouble. So ideally, right here, what we want to do is kind of brawl with the tank, because there's not really a world where we're ever going to just dive, right? Adam Warlock, Mantis, and Cloak and Dagger are never ever going to let us kill one of them. So we kind of have to brawl with the tank and then fight until somebody gets stepping out of line, and then we can like go in on them from there. We're going to run into a bit of issue if we keep trying to go in and get like 1 pick randomly. And now we're staggered again, so we really just have to back up, give the push entirely for now, and then just poke and get our ult charge up. The nice thing about what the comps are looking like is that we're going to be in a good situation of doing a lot more damage than their team, but the issue that we're going to run into is that they're going to have a lot more survivability, kind of as an offset for that. And I think that we actually struggle for quite a bit here to break something open. Star-Lord gets out of position, and he ends up falling. Pretty good. Backing up. We pop the shield. They pop 2 ults for this, so this is a really good exchange on our part. Right here, so, okay. So, when in a situation like this, right, it's really, really important that whenever the Cloak and Dagger uses her ult, you have to understand, there's a good chance that the Mantis and Adam Warlock are not going to get a lot of ult charge unless they are doing DPS, because the healing from the ultimate is going to take a lot and soak up a lot of the HP that they're going to be losing. But Cloak and Dagger cannot gain any ult charge until this ultimate's over. So this is the chance where we walk up, kind of like this, and we just start doing a bunch of damage, hitting them as hard as we can, and then playing to our strengths here. And then afterward, after the ult is over, we can walk in and we can try to get a kill. She's really overexposed because she dropped without her team. And now we're playing off of the ults, and we have the advantage here. Chasing the Mantis, kind of trying to force the 1v1 because we have a lot of momentum. And then back up a little bit. Then re-engage whenever the cap goes. Big kill. And now this is the kind of thing that is really, really good for Magik. Whenever you get a steamrolly like play like this, it's super duper important that you kind of understand. Magik works well, and her best friend is tempo. And what do I mean by tempo? When a big play like that one ends up happening, it's super important that we keep that lead going and we push even further and we just try to keep it rolling. The snowball can't stop, because if it does, we lose kind of our character's necessity to be good. Magik is okay whenever we're losing, but she's not fantastic. There are characters that do what she does better whenever you're behind. When she's ahead, it's almost like a giant, tornado is rolling through the entire team. Okay, so big thing that I kind of want to talk about. In a situation like this, it's actually probably a good idea for me to ult, because we know they don't have any support ults. I'm actually thinking that me not ulting here, I need to ult, right? And if me saving it for so long is kind of a dumb idea, just because of the fact that I want to use this and kill them while they don't have any support ults, so I can get my ult back as quickly as possible, so that way I'm ready for the next time that they have them, right? Because we do a lot of damage. Magik builds ult incredibly quickly. There's no reason for me to be holding on to this. This is actually a bad habit that I've been trying to break a lot recently, especially like understanding, like, look, Mantis doesn't have ult, neither does Cloak. We might be able to force an Adam res in a really, really bad spot if we end up ulting right now, and we know that Bucky doesn't have his either. So this would be a really good time for me to do so, and I'm holding way too long. I'm being very, very, very sparing to them, and it's a really, really bad idea. Big kill on the Groot. Especially so, if I don't ult after the Star-Lord's done ulting, I'm throwing. Just a little bit. It's a really, really rough scene. Okay, we got the uppercut. Okay, Sarlacc goes in and ults. Now we can walk up. We have a lot of tempo because Star-Lord is dead. Star-Lord res for whatever reason behind. He dies again. Now they're on a really big stagger. We're going to get another free 20% here because of how long they're going to be in spawn. Adam ends up ulting. Like, this right here, this is a big certified Darkchild dub. Like, I don't know what we are doing. Now we pop it. But notice now that we've popped it, Cloak and Dagger ults on reaction, right? We just saw that she had it. Now she's ulting and Mantis is coming up on hers. Never a situation where I'm going to be able to get a lot done right here. Hardly ever. And as a product, because we held the ult, we ended up dying. Which is a really, really big thing, because I see a lot of people misunderstanding and thinking Darkchild is a bad ultimate. No, they're just using it improperly, and right there is just the way that you can't be using the ult. You get it so often. Holding onto it is such a bad problem. Like, look at this. We just died. We're already at 40% again, just by doing damage and hurting people. We haven't killed anybody yet. Okay, just kind of looking for the Star-Lord. We hear him in the air. Seeing the Mantis here, when you see a support character like this just like caught out, and we have 500 HP from the Captain America ult as well as our passive, you need to walk at them in a straight line and just start hitting them. Even if Mantis sleeps us, she's not killing us. We have to miss everything in order to die to her right here. Look, so she sleeps, no problem at all. We're fine. And then we walk in with her team. It's a big first round. Not bad at all. Definitely a big issue with the ultimates. We ended up with 5 final hits, so we're relative to the rest of the lobby's damage dealers. The Bucky on their team is 1, and then the Star-Lord is 4. Final hits don't necessarily mean you're doing incredibly well by any means. Obviously, you could see that, like, we messed up a lot with our ultimate. That was a really, really bad time. We used it once, got no value, and we could have had it 3 times had we popped it whenever we should have, right? It's a big deal. It's a really, really big problem that people might have, including myself. I have this problem a lot, and these are like Celestial 2, Celestial 1 games, sometimes Eternity lobbies. You know, it's a hard problem to get around. And it's a really, really bad habit to break if you haven't noticed. If you can't notice it for yourself, right? Really, really big thing for us to, like, realize. Let's fast forward a little bit so we're not just, like, sitting here looking at Magik's shorts. As much as you freaks probably would like that. Let me just shrink this guy a little bit. Right. Okay, so right here we're playing on the left-hand side, and they're running a thing now, which is kind of bad for us in Captain America. This is going to cause a lot of issues for us. Psylocke, not so much, because she normally plays on kind of the border of a fight anyway. A lot of people ask me, how do you fight a thing player? And typically, 9 times out of 10, my thing that I would recommend for them, the thing about the thing, is you want to play on, like, kind of these outskirt areas, right? Taking a fight with them head-on is the equivalent of putting a coughing baby against a rhinoceros. You don't want to do that. It's really bad. You don't do nearly enough damage. Thing is a actual powerhouse when it comes to just, like, straight up one-on-ones, because he does good damage and he can make it so you cannot dash, and a lot of dashing abilities like involve a root or a lot of damage dumped. You know, they give some sort of CC or they do a ton of damage. In Magik's case, it's a knockup and a lot of damage, so you're not getting a lot of value, and you can't portal away. So while I don't think the thing necessarily is, like, a really, really bad counter to Magik unless he's peeling really well and just sitting on his backline the entire game, playing around the stairs over here, playing on the border of a fight, you never want to take him head on. Otherwise, you're going to lose. 9 times out of 10, it's just going to be a straight diff, and you can't do anything about it, right? And so I think right here we actually attempt to fight him. And I kind of want to show this because I'm actually still very unfamiliar with the thing matchup. I know that he's really good. In my opinion, he's an S tier character right now, but you know, it's really odd. Until like a week ago, nobody was picking him. But now that people have understood him a bit more, people are playing him much more consistently. So you see that he ends up ulting, and rather than taking that fight in the middle, we walk backward. Unfortunately, we get gapped by the Hawkeye. Just 2 taps us straight up. But kind of the idea here, right? Even though we died, the idea is for us to kind of portal in. You never want to dash here, right? Because you want it to be able to leave. You kind of want to portal in, drop a demon on top of one of these 3. Preferably the Hawkeye. He's the biggest damage dealer. They're gonna do a lot of healing here, but they're gonna have to put in some work to burst, like, get him back to full from what HP he's at right now. Portaling in and putting a demon on him because of where he's standing is really, really big. Unfortunately, he reacts really quick, and then we end up dying, right? Which is unfortunate. So we're behind. You'll find in this game, we actually end up losing and we retake, which I think is more important, because holding an area is not as important as being able to retake something in this on these modes. It's very, very, very big if you're able to. Okay, we end up placing the demon, and like we said, we hear the thing is in the middle, so rather than doing what we were doing earlier and taking, like, fights head-on with our tanks, now we know they have the thing. Instead of a Bucky, they're running 2 tank. So we kind of want to play on these, like, outskirts of the fights, right? Because now we actually can afford to go and fight something. They don't have an Atom for the Soul Bond. You know, we have to change up on the fly, so that way we're not just, like, straight up losing a one-on-one. Cloak and Dagger is really exposed, and we actually force a huge ult out of them by doing so. This is a really, really, really big timer for us, right? Because we're coming up on our ult, Invisible ult, we have Atom Res, and we have Cap ult coming up on the way, and we still have Magneto. And now, because she popped it, we end up dying. Groot chases us, but this is still a really, really big engagement. We essentially give 1 ult for the sake of 2, and now our reset is going to be way bigger. Whenever you're playing, I think that this Psylocke ult is kind of troll. I don't really like this at all. I think that the ideal play is that after we die, especially, our team either dies or runs backward the second we hear all these ults popped, and then we come back and we retake with our own ultimates. Especially now that triple support is not such a big prevalent thing. You can afford to do this. Ult economy is a really, really big way of winning and playing these matches, and if you're in a position where you're just trading ults for the sake of doing so rather than, like, effectively using them, if she saves her ult here, we have a huge timer coming up on this next fight because we have so much utility. We have Mine, we have Mine coming up, Cap coming up, Invisible coming up, we have Atom, and we would have had Psylocke as compared to Invisible Woman, Groot, right? It's a way, way, way bigger advantage. Groot gets countered by Invisible Woman on our team, which is coming up very soon, and their Invisible Woman is going to be forced to pop it against the Psylocke ult. So we have a lot. So the ideal engagement would be we end up Psylocke ulting, and then we, run on the next fight. We make them pop that, then they Groot ult, and then we use our Invisible ult. So that way, it's a much better exchange, and then we can follow up with a Magik ult, Captain America. We have an Atom Res, so we can sit on the up here. So this that would be a lot better here, especially on maps like this one, where it's like a domination map. You get a lot more value out of taking with ult advantage than you do for like just using ults for the sake of using them whenever the fight is pretty much lost. Like, what world is anybody ever dying here? Magneto is one, he's on his deathbed. Captain America's on life support. The only full HP person is Psylocke, and she's gonna die the second she comes out of this, right? However, they ended up tossing quite a bit. If this Invisible Woman just takes his death and then does not ult, they end up winning this engagement. But because of this, because our Psylocke did a crappy ult, this is a pretty bad one, but it turns into a good one because their Invisible Woman got scared, because I don't know why they ulted here. It's really, really rough. But they should just take the death and then just call it quits, because our team is not really in a position to really do a whole lot here after this, right? So as you can see, sure, one of them lives, but like there's no way that our team ever like ends up winning this fight, right? As we can see, we just went over that. So now we're on the way back, and it's a pretty big stagger from our team. If we just wait a couple seconds, then we can come back and retake with ults. It's going to be a very, very big momentum shifter, and then we have a lot more tempo to work with than we did a minute ago. Always think of ultimates as like a point system, like a value. So we're going to call DARKCHILD a 6. We're going to call Invisible Woman a 10 in terms of like the ultimate value for like the economy. Invisible Woman lets your team not die. DARKCHILD kills the team, but if they can't die, because they're in their invisible, DARKCHILD becomes a 0, right? So it's a very, very, very big situation to have. We essentially traded a Psylocke ult, which is a 4, for like a 10 out of, the ultimates, which is great. And now, knowing that they have no Invisible Woman ult, we can ult immediately after our team, and then we can try to get a big play here, seeing that they're pretty split. Big kill on the Hawkeye. We can walk forward. We're hitting the Groot here so we can help our team kind of apply some pressure to him so he's just not hitting them for free in the Groot ult. Get a big kill on the Groot. And then we put a demon down behind so that way they can't just walk out for free. Star-Lord ulting here is kind of rough. So remember how we talked about earlier where it's like a really bad decision to ult certain times? This is one of those times, because if you look at the way that the fight is going, how many tanks do they have on the board, right? None, right? So think of the tank as kind of like your legs, and then the supports are kind of like your spine. Without one or the other, or like without both, it's very, very hard to play a game. Damage is very reliant on like where your team is as well. I know they're always doing the ones that are doing the flashy plays, but there's a reason for them, right? They take a lot of pressure. We're taking a look at him. He's doing essentially what our Psylocke is doing, but he's getting way less benefit because he's taking a Captain America ult for it rather than like something else. And as a product of this, right, we don't even have any percentage on the board. The risk return value for that ult is like so minimal. They get so little for even killing one person out of that. Stalling here does not do a whole lot. And otherwise, we're just kind of able to be okay. But they end up making it back just in time because we ended up blundering and we focused on him a little bit too much. But now we have a big timing because the portal comes out and now we're able to play it. Now we get a big kill on the Hawkeye. Big demon. And we see her up there. We get a big kill on the Invisible Woman. Very, very good. Playing on the outskirt of the fight, making sure we're harassing the backline, especially whenever they have a thing, because we never want to be in a situation where we're just kind of looking to take a 1v1 of them, because we'll lose every time. There's no way to win that, right? Especially with the way that the Earthbound works. It's so hard to deal with. And it's why he's such a good character right now. Like, whenever he's able to put it down in a choke, it's so tough for the team to play against. That's why he's so good on maps like Cleansar. Okay, Groot ends up following us up a little bit. No problem. Star-Lord ends up going to point. Kind of just walking him in a little bit. No way we ever catch him here. He's literally in the air. We're just going to end up dying on the way over, so we just fall back. The Groot ult from Narnia was kind of crazy. And there's the thing ult, but we're in the invisible middle, so it's okay. Big Eye of Agamotto. And now we just place a demon down. We play with our team. See, now he's earthbound, so we're just going to ignore him. And we're going to try to focus on the Star-Lord. He ends up dying anyway.
Our foes have arrived.
Very, very, very good. Nice. And now we can kind of play over here on the staircase. So now, again, noticing that we have ultimate, we're ready for a dive. Remember how we talked about earlier? This is actually a good showing. It's the coin flip of what we talked about earlier. We're getting ready for an ultimate because we know they don't have a support ult. This is the time to use it. So if things do go bad and we do go into the next round, we have another ult off rip that we're able to use soon. We don't want to be holding on to these for a year. And now we can actually prepare, especially because we have a Captain America. We're able to actually ready ourselves and then get ready to pop the ult and then play with him. Okay, big. He ends up dying. We can walk forward. We're using a lot of utility. Big kill. Just keep walking it in. And because of this, now that they don't have any support ults and we're just using our ults and exchanging them over and over again, they're on such a big timer here. They have a lot of distance to cover and they have no time to do so unless they portal. And the thing didn't swap, so they end up not having enough time. And we ended up having about 13 final hits, which the game was a rather short one because it was only a 2-round game, so that's kind of to be expected. They ended up having 14 on their Star-Lord, and then the rest of their team didn't really have a whole lot. Same thing with our Psylocke. She had 11, which is decent, of course. And then we had supports, and our Adam did 7k damage, 15k healing, so nothing too crazy, but it was a really good game nonetheless. I hope that you guys learned something. It's always fun to look back at these ones, especially because I don't get to do domination games very often. I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to go follow the Twitch and like and subscribe if you like the video, I would greatly appreciate it. I love you. I'll see you later. See you. Bye. Mwah.